I wanted to go into a little bit of like disinformation online, and it's kind of about how feigning ignorance to kind of make sure that the government doesn't do anything to improve people's lives. And one of the things you might hear online is people saying, like education should be in the hands of the parents. And they're making it out as if like education should be only up to the parents. But the thing is that when it comes to, education, and it's linked into like combat, like when it comes into, mental health and how to improve mental health understanding in society. Um, with education, it's not a matter of you either teaching schools or you either have the parents teach. It's it's a thing that I call either or fallacy. And it's just like you don't do either one or the other, you do both. You try to improve education and teach as much in schools you possibly can. And also you want to inspire parents to actually teach more um, at home as well. And it's also when it comes to the government, it's not a matter of, the governments or the states or the counties. It's you do both things in the government or through the government, and you do things in the states and you do things in the county. You do both. This is what like I said, this is what I call either or fallacy. You don't do one or the other, you do both. When it comes to like solving problems, we need to do everything in our power and to attack problems from multiple different directions. Not one direction at a time, but all directions all at once. So we need the government to do stuff. We need the states and the county to do stuff. We need to improve education in public schools, and we need to inspire parents to teach more at home as well. One of my ideas is the parent academic packs, where when you enroll your kid into school, you have the option of taking these home parenting packs with you, which would be small little booklets that give like advice of what to teach at home, and it can give things like help, like how to improve your kids' psychology and how to improve discipline at home by like for example like making sure your children do chores and make sure you teach your children how to operate the dishwasher, how to cook, and stuff like that. So we need to be tackling these problems from as many different fronts as we possibly can do. And we need to get past this thing about, oh, we either do this or we either do that. No, you do both. You do all potential solutions to solve a problem. And, you know, yeah. Um, because when it comes to like, this can be applied to like solving the mental health crisis. Is we need the governments to get involved, we need the states to get involved, and we need to improve child psychology within schools and within education. And we also need parents to become more increasing, what do I call it, psychological aptitude amongst parents to be able to identify things like mental health issues within their children and stuff like that. So we need to be doing trying to help improve the mental health crisis um, in every single like direction and potential solution that there is. And this reminds me of I might have done a video on it, I'm not sure, where we need a combination of both progressive parenting and traditional parenting. We need progressive parenting to make sure that parents don't psychologically abuse their kids, and we need traditional parenting to instill discipline, to create healthy living habits within children. So yeah, trying to think if there's anything else I can go into. Because one of the things that I had, I kind of explain a little bit about myself and how my parents could have identified mental health issues within me. So when I was in school, I would often have times where I would have a temper tantrum, and then I would basically run out of the school. And so if your child is in school and they're having multiple instances where they're literally trying to flee the school, that could be a sign of mental health issues. If your child doesn't have any friends, that could be communication problems and social problems, which you can find therapy for helping from different therapists to help with child communication and things like that. And it turns out that I have OCPD, which I wasn't diagnosed with until my 30s, and some of what that includes is because it's to do with problems with mental control, problems controlling thoughts. It leads to a need to control your environment, because your brain is like super logical, and your brain likes predictability. And because of that liking or having a need for predictability, they have a need to control their environment. And that could lead into, why your child might not be going outside to socialize that much. Yeah, so that's a little bit of some things you can spot. Yeah. Um, is there anything else I can go into? May as well try to get as much different topics in the video as much as possible. And we need political commentators online to basically take mental health seriously, and not just focus on overdiagnosis, for example, but focus on the three: overdiagnosis, misdiagnosis, and underdiagnosis. And we need all critical commentators online to take the mental health crisis seriously. And even if there's different priorities all year round, right? Maybe, political actors can stop the bad faith during Mental Health Week, and maybe they can start working together to actually get leftists and conservatives together, create a little bit of progressive conservatism to to have a discussion about mental health and what we can do to improve it. So yeah, so we really do need political commentators online to come together to figure out how to solve the mental health crisis. And we need to be encouraging open dialogue. Yes, like sometimes oversharing can be too much. You can have too much, but it is important we have as much open discussion as possible about our own mental health because it helps to get rid of the stigma. Um, but anyway, I think I'm going to leave it there for today. I would like to explain the either or fallacy a little bit more, in a little bit detail. I probably will do another a video attempt of just doing that. Because that's the trick online. See, they say that what was someone saying recently? Oh, about free school meals is about taking the responsibility away from parents, and that's just like a deceptive thing to make sure the government doesn't do anything to improve people's lives. Um, so that's like a little example of like how they spread like misinformation, and they basically commit to either or fallacy, making it out you either do one thing or the other, and you can't do both things at the same time. Anyway, that's the video. Like and subscribe. A little bit of a long one, but yeah, thanks for watching, and make sure you like and subscribe the videos. It'd be much appreciated. Well, subscribe to the channel and like the videos. It'll be much appreciated. Thank you. I'm sorry for the if it's a little bit robotic. I wish I could do better that in that regard, but